The quantum sensors aboard the orbital defense station Artemis lit up like a supernova during Commander Rhea Patel's night shift. She'd spent 15 years preparing for this moment, but nothing could truly prepare humanity for first contact, especially not this kind. Multiple unknown vessels detected at the Kuiper Belt boundary, she announced, her voice steady despite her racing heart. Energy signatures exceed anything in our database by several orders of magnitude. Admiral Marcus Thompson, Supreme Commander of Earth's Defense Forces, stood before the holographic display in the Cheyenne Mountain complex, watching as hundreds of crystalline ships emerged from what appeared to be tears in space itself. Their design was both beautiful and terrifying. Organic curves melded with geometric precision, like coral formations crafted by mathematical gods. "How many?" he asked, though the answer was already displayed before him. 732 vessels, sir. The largest is approximately the size of Manhattan. The Admiral's weathered face remained impassive, but his mind raced through the implications. Humanity had achieved remarkable progress in the past century: quantum computing, antimatter containment, primitive faster than light travel. But these vessels represented technology far beyond their current capabilities. The alien transmission came simultaneously across all frequencies, in perfect English. "People of Earth, I am High Commander Vexterra of the Kraxan Empire. We have monitored your civilization's development for the past 3 centuries. Your rate of technological advancement has been deemed an existential threat to galactic stability." In the tense silence that followed, Admiral Thompson exchanged glances with his senior staff. This wasn't the first contact scenario they had hoped for, not by a long shot. "All species must progress according to the natural order," Vexterra continued. "Your civilization has advanced from primitive combustion engines to quantum manipulation in mere decades. This violation of cosmic law cannot be permitted to continue. Submit to immediate technological regression and oversight, or face immediate containment." In the orbital station, Commander Patel's fingers flew across the holographic interface, analyzing the alien vessels. Something about their energy signatures seemed oddly familiar. "Sir," she transmitted to Admiral Thompson, "they're shield harmonics. They're similar to the theoretical models Dr. Ishikawa proposed last year. Different implementation, but the same underlying principles." Thompson allowed himself a slight smile. Humanity's greatest strength had always been its ability to look at the impossible and ask, "Why not?" "High Commander Vexterra," Thompson responded, his voice broadcasting across the same frequencies. "Humanity acknowledges your concerns. However, we reject your authority to determine the pace of our development. We are a sovereign species, and we will defend our right to progress as we see fit." The response was immediate. "Your defiance is noted but irrelevant. The natural order must be maintained. Commence containment protocols." The Kraxan ships began to move with perfect synchronization, their formations flowing like liquid crystal. But Earth wasn't as defenseless as they assumed. "Execute Protocol Prometheus," Thompson ordered. Across the solar system, hidden installations whirred to life. Quantum arrays that had been dormant for years activated, creating a subspace sensor web that could track the smallest movements of the alien fleet. The massive gravitational manipulators buried within Mercury's cores powered up, ready to turn local space itself into a weapon. Commander Patel watched as the first wave of Kraxan ships approached Mars. Their weapons charged with an energy signature that suggested they could crack the planet in half. But humanity had spent decades preparing for this possibility, driven by the simple question that had guided their rapid advancement. "What if?" "Sir," she reported, "Defense Grid Helios is online. Quantum interference patterns are stable. We're ready." As the Kraxan ships fired their first salvo, humanity revealed its answer to the question of superior alien technology: innovation beyond the expected. The beams of destructive energy met not traditional shields, but layers of quantum-entangled space that redirected the energy into pocket dimensions. In orbit around Jupiter, automated defense platforms of human design began their countermeasure, not with traditional weapons, but with targeted gravitational distortions that twisted space itself around the Kraxan vessels. High Commander Vexterra watched in disbelief as his initial attack dissipated harmlessly. "Impossible," he muttered. "Their level of advancement shouldn't allow for such defenses. All ships, execute pattern Delta 9. Overwhelmed their systems with." He never finished the order. The humans had already launched their counterattack, using technologies that, by the Kraxans' careful calculations, they shouldn't have for another century at least. The battle for Earth's independence had begun, and humanity was about to show the galaxy why thinking outside conventional boundaries wasn't a threat. It was the future. The Kraxan fleet's initial assault had faltered against Earth's unexpected defenses, but High Commander Vexterra was far from defeated. His crystalline command ship pulsed with angry red energy as he assessed the situation. Analyzing their defense systems, his chief scientist, Careful, reported, mandibles clicking in agitation. "The humans are using localized quantum fields to redirect our energy weapons. It's elegant in its simplicity." Simplicity. Vexterra's crystalline scales shifted from deep purple to crimson. "They've weaponized theoretical physics that our scientists deemed impossible." Meanwhile, in the quantum research facility beneath the Antarctic ice, Dr. Nikita Volkov watched real-time data streams from the battle. The Russian physicist had spent the last decade developing what many had called impossible, a way to manipulate the fabric of space-time itself on a tactical scale. "The quantum lattice is holding," she reported to Admiral Thompson. "But they're already adapting their attack patterns. These Kraxan aren't slow learners." "Then it's time for Phase 2, Thompson replied. "Dr. Volkov, activate the Mobius protocol." Across Earth's defense grid, a new type of technology emerged, one that even the most advanced alien civilizations had never conceived. Humanity had taken the basic principles of quantum entanglement and applied them in ways that defied conventional physics. Commander Patel watched from Artemis Station as the first wave of Earth's new defensive measures activated. Thousands of microsatellites, each no larger than a coffee cup, began generating overlapping fields of twisted space-time. Multiple Kraxan vessels experiencing critical systems failures, she reported, unable to keep a note of satisfaction from her voice. Their energy weapons are being reflected back at them through quantum mirrors. The Kraxan fleet's perfect formation began to break apart as ships found themselves firing at their own reflections through folded space. But Vexterra was not about to let his prey escape. "Deploy the chronosphere disruptors," he ordered. "Let's see how their quantum tricks fare against temporal displacement." As waves of temporal energy washed across Earth's defenses, Admiral Thompson received an urgent transmission from the Ganymede Research Station. "Sir." Dr. James Rodriguez's hologram appeared, his dark eyes gleaming with excitement. "We've decoded their temporal attack pattern. It's exactly what we theorized during Project Ouroboros. Permission to activate the temporal defense grid." Thompson nodded. "Do it." The Kraxan temporal assault met something unprecedented. Humanity had developed temporal shielding, not by advancing along expected technological paths, but by completely reimagining the nature of time itself. "Impossible," Carfil exclaimed as his readings made no sense. "They're using their own time stream as a defensive measure. The temporal energy isn't just being blocked. It's being absorbed and recycled." In the Antarctic facility, Dr. Volkov allowed herself a small smile. "You know what the Kraxans' biggest mistake was?" she asked her team. "They assumed there was only one way to advance technologically. They never considered that by telling us something was impossible, they only encouraged us to prove them wrong." The battle continued to escalate as both sides deployed increasingly sophisticated weapons and defenses. But while the Kraxan relied on millennia of established technological progression, humanity demonstrated why they had advanced so quickly. They weren't bound by conventional thinking. Earth's defense fleet, though smaller, moved with unpredictable patterns, using quantum entanglement drives that allowed them to appear and disappear at will. Each ship carried weapons that shouldn't have been possible for centuries. gravity lances that could tear apart molecular bonds, quantum phase torpedoes that existed in multiple states simultaneously, and temporal inverters that could locally reverse cause and effect. Status report. Thompson demanded as the second wave of Kraxan ships moved into attack position. Their adaptive algorithms are impressive, Commander Patel responded, but they're still thinking linearly. Every countermeasure they develop assumes we'll respond according to standard technological progression. They haven't grasped that we don't play by those rules. The truth was becoming clear to High Commander Vexterra. These humans weren't just advancing too quickly. They were advancing in ways that no one had thought possible. Every natural law of technological development that the Kraxan had used to maintain order in the galaxy for millennia was being casually broken by these upstart primitives. As his fleet regrouped for another assault, Vexterra received a transmission that chilled his crystalline blood. High Commander, we're detecting similar energy signatures from multiple systems in the sector. The humans, they've been sharing their technology with other races. The battle for Earth was about to become something much larger, a revolution against the very concept of controlled technological progress. Humanity hadn't just developed impossible technologies. They had proven that impossible was just a word waiting to be redefined. Unexpected allies. The quantum sensors aboard Artemis Station detected them first. Dozens of ships emerging from hidden fold space pockets throughout the solar system. But unlike the crystalline precision of Kraxan vessels, these ships were a diverse collection of designs and technologies. Admiral, Commander Patel reported, we're receiving transmissions from the unknown vessels. They're refugees from other suppressed civilizations. The largest of the new arrivals, a ship that seemed to be made of living metal and pure energy, broadcasted on all frequencies. People of Earth, I am Krell Knox of the Solaran Collective. Like you, we refuse to be bound by the Kraxan's natural order. We bring gifts, technologies developed in secret over centuries of hiding. Admiral Thompson's Strategic Command Center soon hosted an unprecedented gathering. Krell Knox, a being of swirling energy contained within a humanoid form, stood alongside representatives from a dozen other species. Each had developed their own unique technologies in defiance of Kraxan restrictions. The Helix Confederation mastered biodigital fusion, explained a tentacled scientist named Zarix. The quantum nomads learned to fold space itself. The Cronus Collective developed temporal engineering, but none of us dared to challenge the Kraxan openly, until we saw Earth fight back. Dr. Volkov's eyes widened as she reviewed the technical data they shared. Your approaches to quantum mechanics, they're completely different from ours. And yet they work, Krell Knox finished, just as your methods work, despite defying Kraxan physics. Perhaps the universe is more flexible than they believe. High Commander Vexterra watched in growing horror as his worst fears materialized. The humans weren't just advancing too quickly, they were becoming a beacon for every species that had ever questioned the Kraxan's ordained path of progress. The art of innovation. The next 48 hours transformed the solar system into the greatest technological think tank in galactic history. In orbital laboratories and ground facilities, human scientists worked alongside their alien counterparts, combining technologies in ways that even their inventors hadn't imagined. It's not just about the technology, Dr. Rodriguez explained to Admiral Thompson as they watched a human quantum drive being integrated with Solaran energy matrices. It's about how we think. Every species here approached the same universal laws from different angles and found they all worked. The Kraxan fleet held position at the edge of the solar system, growing in number as reinforcements arrived through their crystalline fold space corridors. But they were facing something unprecedented. A coalition of species who had all broken the rules in different ways, now sharing their innovations. Commander Patel worked with Zarix to integrate Helix Confederation biodigital interfaces with Earth's quantum defense grid. Your organic computers, they're not just processing information, they're growing and evolving with it. Just as your quantum fields don't just redirect energy, they transform it, Zarix replied, its tentacles dancing across holographic displays. Together, we're rewriting the rules of what's possible, Patel finished. Breaking the chains, the final battle began not with an explosion, but with a whisper, a ripple through space-time, as the combined fleet of Earth and its new allies deployed their hybrid technologies. Ships powered by human quantum drives and solar and energy cores slipped through holes in reality created by quantum nomad fold space generators, while Kronos' collective temporal shields protected them from cracks in weapons. High Commander Vexterra watched in disbelief as his carefully organized formations were torn apart by weapons that shouldn't exist, couldn't exist, according to everything the Kraxan knew about technological progression. Target their command ship, Admiral Thompson ordered. Show them why diversity and innovation will always trump regulated progress. The human-alien fleet moved as one, each vessel utilizing technologies that combine different species' approaches to physics, engineering, and reality itself. Quantum temporal torpedoes phased through Kraxan shields as if they weren't there. Gravity weapons enhanced by biodigital targeting systems found weak points that shouldn't have existed. You don't understand. Vexterra transmitted desperately as his fleet began to crumble. Without order, without control, technology becomes chaos. No, Admiral Thompson replied. What you call chaos, we call creativity. Innovation doesn't follow a predetermined path. It explores every possibility. The battle ended not with the destruction of the Kraxan fleet, but with their retreat. As the crystalline ships fled through their fold space corridors, they carried with them a message that would shake the foundations of their empire. Progress could not be contained. In the aftermath, as representatives from dozens of formerly suppressed civilizations gathered on Earth to form a new coalition, Commander Patel stood with Krell Knox, watching ships of all designs move freely through the solar system. The Kraxan will return, Krell Knox noted, their energy form flickering with concern. Of course they will, Patel replied with a smile. And we'll have even more impossible innovations waiting for them. After all, that's what humans do best. We make the impossible possible. Admiral Thompson, standing in his command center, looked at the galactic map now filled with the signatures of freed civilizations. The galaxy's greatest fear wasn't that we were advancing too quickly, he mused. Their greatest fear was that we would show others they could do the same. And across the stars, on worlds long suppressed by Kraxan doctrine, the whispers began of a planet called Earth, where impossible things became possible, and where the very concept of limits was treated as just another boundary to be broken.